don't consider myself a conspiracy buff at all, but when they get a lot of coincidences, I get a little suspicious and call me crazy.
Polls, weird talk shows, crazy groups every Sunday telling you what you think.
The Republicans and the Democrats conspire with one another, which they do.
There is a conspiracy by big business against American democracy.
We know that there was a conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
There was no conspiracy.
Was there a conspiracy?
It's a communist conspiracy directed out of Moscow.
The right-wing conspiracy.
Communist conspiracy is a deliberate and predictable plan of action to subvert the world.
Right-wing conspiracy.
International criminal conspiracy.
Vast right-wing conspiracy.
Great conspiracy.
There are all these conspiracy theories.
Was there a conspiracy? I don't know.
Perhaps themselves even involved in the conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
No evidence
of a conspiracy.
Anybody would have to be a fool nowadays to dismiss conspiracies.
Conspiracy
theory.
Cockeyed conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory exists because there really is conspiracy.
But they never told a soul about it. In fact, they engaged in a vast conspiracy.
Since you get accused of being a conspiracy theorist, of being a paranoid.
The historical context of actual conspiracy.
A conspiracy of bad people.
As always happens at some point in a conspiracy. One night, Cousin Eddie got drunk in a honky-tonk and spilled the beans.
There was a conspiracy and government was involved in it.
Conspiracy existing within the United States government.
There was a conspiracy.
A
Conspiracy by the CIA.
The conspiracy of a few.
Dark, secretive, conspiratorial, evil.
Then it was certainly a deliberate conspiracy.
High-level conspiracy.
The do's and the don'ts and the rights and the wrongs of the various conspiracy theories that are good.
Possibility of a conspiracy.
In a moral sense, I think it was a conspiracy.
One conspiracy, that's all I'm talking about.
Full of speculation, conspiracy theories, and the like.
And what's going on here?
You began to wonder what was really happening in America. I mean, was there a vast conspiracy afoot?
You know, there could have been a conspiracy.
Do you think you're obsessed with conspiracy?
Conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy.
I'm afraid you'll catch me. I'm afraid you'll catch me.
A conspiracy would do the job nicely.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of your favorite Monday night show, and probably your favorite show overall, Baseless Conspiracies. As always, I am joined by Zak Paine. Zak, how's the weekend, brother?
The weekend was good, nice and relaxing. We played video games yesterday, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I feel like I'm getting better, and it's like it's measurable every single time. Getting easier to aim, getting easier to sneak up on people, getting easier. The thing I got to really work on is when people just like come out of nowhere and I panic and then I don't know what
Like my favorite part of the stream.
It's so much fun though. I love it.
We're just sitting there having a conversation. You're talking about random stuff and then you just curse out of nowhere like you got jump scared. Super funny.
It is great. It's totally great. But
we got to get to a point where we are gaming streamers only. I think that's our trajectory right now. That's where all the money is. That's the goal. So, no, just kidding. Yeah, this is a good time on Sunday nights. But yeah, how are you feeling about Victory in Iran Day today?
Oh, do we have another one?
Well, wasn't that the ceasefire? Like it's all over?
I mean, I don't know. Okay, like every single day, I feel like Trump is sending mixed messages on this. What I do know is that apparently President Trump was having conversations with people that he felt could successfully run Iran after the successful ultimate removal of the Islamic government. And then the Jerusalem Post published the dude's name. So I don't know that he's going to be around for much longer. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. He's like, I'm not going to tell you the name because I don't want him to die. And then it's like, okay, well, if we're negotiating peace with him, we wouldn't be the ones to kill him. So you could look at it two ways. Either there's a good twin, evil twin faction in Iran, and Trump is negotiating with this guy, and he's the good twin.
Right.
The evil twin, maybe the Khamenei people would be the ones to kill him. Or the other possibility, and the one that a lot of people are running with, is maybe it's Israel who doesn't want the peace and wants to take the guy out.
I mean, it's been said for a long time that Iran was overrun with Mossad agents. So there's an argument to be made that the evil Iranian twin is actually the Mossad Iranian twin. So, whether it's Mossad getting him killed indirectly by publishing his name, which means that, somebody in the Khomeini government or the IRGC decides to take him out, or, it's just them on their own. I mean, the effect is still the same either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm fully subscribed to the good twin, bad twin. And I mean, that's just it's representative of like this patriot deep state war that's happening inside every structured government. And I think that ultimately, if he does get killed, God rest his soul, hopefully that doesn't happen. But I mean, clearly the Jerusalem Post wanted him to get killed. There's no reason to publish that. And I mean, you compare that also with President Trump, I think J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Tulsi Gabbard all saying that the Israeli objectives in Iran are not the American objectives in Iran. And you can see that demonstrably on the battlefield when President Trump is like, stop blowing stuff up that we're going to use to make money when this whole thing is done. And then Israel's just like, boom, boom, boom.
It's also kind of in line with the rhetoric that Joe Kent has been saying about Israel's objectives and our objectives and the reason we got into the war and all these things. It's a minefield right now out there in the podcaster war. Did you see Dan Bongino today?
Oh,
going hard after Ivan Raiklin and General Flynn.
I saw like an initial 15 seconds, but I have to be honest, like Dan is he's taken on this intensity that I don't particularly like to watch anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the guy, to be perfectly honest with you. And I really did not like the way that he was approached by that guy at that event. I mean, there is something that really bothers me about people who come up and like, you're a pedophile protector, but God bless. Why can't you talk to me? Why won't you have a conversation with me? You just called me a pedophile protector. Like, back the fuck up. Who do you think you are? And then, I don't know how that interaction with Ivan might have went differently if that guy hadn't come up to Dan and like immediately besmirched his good name.
Yeah.
It just seems like before Dan left the podcasting sphere and went into the FBI, he was basically like royalty, right? Like everybody was cool with him, and if he had problems online, it was minimal. And then I think that, this is my perspective. It seemed like it really bothered him being in the FBI and not being able to respond to people who were talking shit to him online, because there was plenty of it. And so he came out, and it was like he just unburdened himself of everything that had been. Which is sad.
He was definitely in a tough position going in, and it's hard to imagine that, there are a lot of good things that happened while he was in there too, in terms of arrests and child trafficking that they actually stopped. But obviously the Epstein narrative is one that I think, going into that, I don't think he thought it was something different than it actually was too.
I got the feeling, yeah.
Same with Kash Patel. And, maybe we haven't seen the end of that story. That's totally possible. But I totally get the feeling of like, people going after you and attacking you online, and then also being like playing victim and be like, we just want unity. We just want to be friends. We just want to get to the bottom of this.
It's so gay.
It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't totally besmirch somebody's good name and like try to ruin them, and then also be like, but it's all love. We just want unity. That's not how it works. You're frauds and hypocrites. So I personally love the back and forth between all the podcasters, because, at some point people will get sick of the drama, and that's what it is. Like, most people aren't looking for drama. They're looking for information. At some point they're gonna mature and graduate beyond the he said she said high school bullshit. But maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I think that there always will be a contingent of the public that seeks that stuff out, because that's not like a new phenomenon. It's just amplified now because so many people are in the space, and they're all fighting for the attention of other people. And it's unfortunate, but that draws eyes, obviously, but I don't think Dan wants those eyes. I just think that he's not the guy that you talk on his name without him saying something back. And I got the feeling it was difficult for him. And somebody said something in the chat, do you think Dan's under an NDA? Well, I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's national secrets. I think that there's plenty that he knows and that he was, subjected to, that he actually was read into, and he simply can't talk about those things. And I personally don't think that story is over in any regard. I think Dan's part at the FBI is over, but I think it's an ongoing story.
Yeah, I think most people with the top secret security clearance sign like the 99-year, and it is an NDA.
Oh, is it technically? Okay, I wasn't sure if they would still refer to it as that.
There's some Badlanders. I guess maybe it's not called an NDA, but there are some Badlanders that come to our conferences that talk about this. Like, they're former military or they have, contracts with the DOE or whatever. Yeah. And it's a literal 99-year NDA that they can't disclose anything until that's done. And by then they're obviously dead. So,
okay. So, oh yeah, it is just an NDA. But, it's funny because I was thinking that it must be something else because obviously people sign NDAs all the time, whether it's in the corporate world or I suppose in government as well. Yeah. But obviously NDAs are difficult to enforce when it's between private parties. More so easy when you have like an overbearing corporate overlord that, has the money to go after you. But, in the instance of a government NDA, there's going to be a lot more than just some sort of financial remuneration that needs to be paid if you speak out about that. I mean, you go to prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah, very likely. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dan's approach is definitely not the one we typically take. We usually ignore the bullshit, but good on him. He's got a good audience. He's well spoken. If people are going to talk shit, he's going to talk it back. And I don't know, not my approach, but I understand why he's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hope he's okay, to be honest with you. I mean, he seems stressed. And, I can understand that as well.
Who isn't these days?
Well, no, I mean, everybody, but I mean, it's just that Dan, I keep thinking about him before he went into the FBI and, how stressed he is now. I mean, it's like there is a heightened level of tension. And I just know that that's not good for people.
Yeah. Well, I think he's not used to being ridiculed, Right. And he definitely has been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether that's deserved or not, I think is yet to be seen. I like Dan. I used to watch him all the time. I've talked about this. I've DM'd him now and then. I don't watch his show really anymore other than what I see like clips of, and it's all just everybody arguing with everybody. So I tend to ignore that. But what else? There's one other story that I was gonna.
So, hold on. Grid Defector says you guys are literally sitting here defending Bongino. You can't be serious. I'm not saying that I know anything about Dan Bongino's actions or what's in his heart, but the one thing I know is that there's a whole bunch of shit that I don't know. There's obviously a lot of things that happen when you're the deputy director of the FBI. And personally, my reaction is about seeing a human being in pain. That's, that tends to happen for me. Like when I see somebody and it's obvious to me that they're hurting. I mean, I don't want to see anybody go through that. Whatever, Dan Bongino's ultimate fate is, that'll be, revealed at some point. But I mean, I don't know the man. I don't know what's in his heart.
Yeah, for me, it's it comes down to the Epstein stuff, which I've been one of the few people, and there's a couple others on Badlands who felt this way too. But we were saying back in June or before, back even when the Bindergate stuff happened, that this is not like it's a rug pull. It was built up by a whole bunch of people online, podcasters, including Dan and Kash Patel when they were in that space. They built this up to this thing. It had this lore behind it. And we were cautioning like, hey, what if this doesn't live up to expectations? What if you were sold a bill of goods that they can't follow through on? And it was all done as an op against Trump, which I think is played out almost exactly. And if that's the case, then Bongino is being attacked over the Epstein files, and it's in a sense unjustified. Yeah. So I'm not sitting here defending him, but I'm not going to attack him either.
No, exactly. That's how I feel. Just put yourself in somebody's shoes where, you truly believe the things you're saying about what should be in the Epstein files, because let's be honest, there's a lot that is missing. There is an entire
or may not exist.
Well, no, I'm saying it doesn't exist anymore. I'm saying, so I can tell you with certainty that there is a whole section of the investigation that is just missing, like everything from New Mexico, from the New Mexico State Police, from the New Mexico Bureau of Investigation, from the local police there, that, county sheriff, the state government, they did an exhaustive investigation. They interviewed witnesses. Like, they took down forensic evidence. All right. They had a ton of stuff. And it was the Southern District of New York, Maureen Comey, who stepped in and said, we want you to hand your investigation over to us along with all of your material. And then we're going to tell you what happens as the investigation proceeds. They immediately took all of the investigative material from top to bottom, and then they never called New Mexico ever again. So essentially what they did was remove everything of substance related to the New Mexico investigation. They extracted it, and then I'm certain it's destroyed, because if it hadn't been destroyed, it would have been part of the millions of pages that they've released thus far. Now, is it possible? Maybe it's somewhere in one of these, hidden skiffs, and we just haven't found it yet. I guess, John, they just found another 2 million pages today in another hidden skiff that was
not of Epstein files necessarily.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not of the Epstein files, but we don't know what's in those files. All we do know is that they go back to Robert Mueller. Okay. So, I mean, there's plenty of years where something could cross over. We just haven't been given the information yet.
Are you sure that there's like thousands of Epstein files with the word New Mexico in it?
No, I'm sure that there is stuff with New Mexico because people called the FBI. What I'm saying is that the New Mexico state government went on record and said that they took all of our stuff and it's gone. It's not there. People have gone in and looked for things that they knew were supposed to be there.
See, I guess I did not hear that. I thought you were going to go talk about, like, I can't remember the guy's name. He's posted online. And maybe we even did it on a show once, but people were saying, like, there's a whole section of thousands of files that aren't on the website anymore, but they were.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Well, there was some stuff, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that is still not there.
Oh, I just think it's all convoluted on purpose.
It is. And, something that Joe Kent said, and I think I said it here on this show one time, is that the government will intentionally leave out information, because I remember it, because you were like, why wouldn't they just admit this? Like something simple, it's like, what's the point
for this?
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying, like, this is why I said it on the air. You're like, what is the point of not saying this? Because it's benign. Like, there's no point. And my thought was that the government will leave things out to create the absence of information, and then people will run with it and create the craziest conspiracy theories that they can possibly imagine, because they're just trying to fill in the gaps. And sometimes that leads to, investigative findings. Other times it just leads to people coming up with batshit crazy stuff. But they know that, and it breeds a sort of mistrust in the public, and it also absolves them of really having to give any information at all. Maybe at some point they come forward with some official story, but along the way they are more than happy to just allow people to spin out there in the wind.
And spin we do. Anyway, how about what's the topic tonight again? Obama?
The Obama body count. We're going to finish our conversation from last week about Andrew Breitbart. Then we're going to jump into Tom Clancy. And then quite literally, I have a list of people who showed up dead surrounding the Obamas over the years.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But before we get into any of that, let's get a quick word from the sponsors of today's show. And first up, we have Save Pulse. Unexpected health emergencies don't wait. Stay ahead with Save Pulse's Medical Emergency Kit, your all-in-one solution for over 30 common illnesses. This kit is packed with broad-spectrum antibiotics, antiparasitics like ivermectin, antifungals, anti-nausea relief, pain relievers, and anti-inflammatories. Plus, explore their top offerings: semaglutide for weight management, discounted doxycycline, azithromycin, ashwagandha supplements, and more, all at unbeatable prices with free shipping on orders over $299. Be prepared for anything. Shop Save Pulse today and protect what matters most. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/meds and use code BADLANDSKIT for 20% off. That's badlandsmedia.tv/meds, code BADLANDSKIT. And then we also got a quick word from Hold for Processing. I think we got a Rumble Studio ad for tonight too.
Right on.
If I can find it. Here we go. Let's do it. You guys know how awesome Rumble has been with supporting their creators. many platforms out there like the YouTube and Twitch, they take 50% of donations you give to streamers while they're streaming. Rumble with the Rumble Rants even takes 20%. But you can give with Rumble Wallet and they'll take 0. You can give 100% and you can give in either Bitcoin, Tether USD, or even Tether Gold. The tip will show up in the chat just like a Rumble Rant, which we'll read while we're live. All you need to do is download the Rumble Wallet in the App Store, or you can go to wallet.rumble.com and tip your favorite creators. Tip us here at Badlands Media. It's a great way to support us and what we're trying to do here. And Bitcoin's awesome. You guys should all have some Bitcoin. So what an amazing way to get rid of the middleman and help the creator economy. Big shout out to Rumble and Rumble Wallet and Rumble Studio for making this technology and continuing to support the creators. They are the most creator-centric platform out there. It's awesome.
They are. Okay, so I think we have some clarification from Grid Defector on why he specifically doesn't like Dan Bongino. And correct me if I'm wrong, Grid Defector, but this is what I'm reading from it. He says 16.1 million shares in Rumble is a 5.7% ownership stake. Rumble is supposed to be free speech, yet one of the large shareholders is totally against that. Okay, so Dan Bongino put his money into Rumble, just like anybody buying stock in a company or funding a company. Dan is also an American citizen, and he has the right to have whatever opinion he wants. The one thing that I can tell you is that as a content creator on Rumble since 2020, I have done literally like over 1,000 videos, maybe, you know, even more than that, probably between here on Badlands and on my channel. I've done thousands of shows, and I have never once tempered my language or censored myself. And I've also never had anything censored by Rumble. Like nothing's ever been taken down. I've never gotten a copyright claim. I've never been told that I can't say something. So, you know, I don't think that really matters. I mean, like, Dan is not responsible for anybody else's opinion, and I don't think anybody should be responsible for his opinion. If you think that he's got a bad take, you know, that's one thing. But just because he owns stock in Rumble, you feel like he should be, you know, come out and, you know, say free speech is the only way to go. I mean, I don't even know that he's against free speech.
Well, he's not. We ban people from our chat. There are people that come in disingenuously trying to stir shit up. We ban those people. There's a complete difference between free speech and like forcing us to see it. And plus, it's not like you're banned off the Rumble platform. You can still watch videos, and you can probably go to any other chat you haven't been banned from and still chat in there. You just, like, we're not forced to sit here, and just like Dan's not forced to sit there while people come in and try to just talk shit, which happens all the time, guys. People get paid to do that. People, competing networks create fake accounts to come into our chat to stir shit up. Be like, oh, what happened to this? What happened to this person? You know who's asking? It's those people. It happens all the time, and we just ban them because we know exactly what they're doing. We don't have to put up with that. That's completely different than free speech.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like supporting free speech, Rumble as a platform, never once have I been censored. Never once have I been banned. I've never been censored over on Pilled. I've been censored on X plenty. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've never been censored on Getter. You know, I mean, and I stream there every single day.
Yeah, and New Case says, I disagree with Dan, but he can craft his chat experience however he wants to.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. All right. Well, so let's get into the conversation one more time about Andrew Breitbart. So we're going to start the show with an account from an ex-CIA agent. His name is Dr. Jim Garrow. Like, officially, he's a philanthropist, and he worked for one of the largest nonprofit orgs on the world. He was, as part of this organization, he was doing some type of humanitarian work in China. I want to say it was like working with orgs that were trying to like save Uyghurs, or maybe it was just like female children. Because for a long time, the Chinese population, they had the one-child policy, and it was more like, I guess, respectful to have a son. And so oftentimes, if they had a daughter and they could only have the one kid, they would just kill the female baby and then try again. And obviously that led to a whole bunch of problems in China. Now you have way too many men and not enough women to go around. So they're a real hot commodity. But he was an agent of the CIA.
What was his name?
Dr. Jim Garrow. And he had, let me see what this was. So 2019, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. So between 2011 and 2012, he left the CIA. And
this guy?
That's him, Dr. Jim Garrow. Yes.
He looks, I don't know, he looks like he's the star of some commercial. You know, like a Viagra commercial. Maybe Pepto-Bismol. So he's just got a face for low budget commercials. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you want somebody who's going to be unassuming and appear to be sort of blending into the crowd as so they can act as a CIA agent working within China, I mean, I feel like he would be a good candidate.
He's CIA?
He was. He's not anymore. He left in like 2011 or 2012. Okay, no.
What do we say about former CIA agents?
No, he couldn't have because, what's that?
What do we say about former CIA agents?
Well, once CIA, always CIA. But he left in a pretty spectacular fashion. So he left after Andrew Breitbart was killed. That was in 2012. So it would have been 2013. But he was operational in 2011 and 2013. So during that time, are you aware that like after Obama's second win in 2012, Obama and the military, like he basically did like a purge on the military and the intelligence community, and they gave like this litmus test to soldiers and to officers, and they basically asked the high-ranking officers if they were asked to, would they be willing to fire on American citizens, basically as like a test of loyalty. And the enlisted men who said no, because that's totally wrong, those people were pushed out. And this happened like, you know, throughout the military. And it's funny because I had a friend who actually joined the Army, I want to say in like 2014. And he said that when he came in, they basically were told that they were not allowed to have any political opinions other than that Barack Obama was basically, you know, Jesus walking on the water. And that, you know, obviously the chain of command was extremely important. And if Obama asked you to fire on an American citizen, or if that was what you were given as an order, then you would have to abide by that. You needed to do that. So he said no.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's been documented. So he said no. They ended up pushing him out. And allegedly there have been other high-ranking officials besides Garrow who have said this. I've heard it spoken about. I want to say, you know, Alex Jones definitely had people on at that time talking about that. Glenn Beck even did at that time. And Glenn Beck used to be pretty based before he like went corpo.
Yeah.
But even now, you know, he's better than others, but not quite like what he used to be.
How long ago was that? How long ago was he?
That was in 2013. Well, shit. I guess I don't remember. Well, I mean, it would have been before he joined like Fox News, but even then, once he joined Fox News, they kicked him out because he was talking about George Soros and stuff like that. So he was a little ahead of his time, but you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Yeah. All right. So Garrow came forward and after he was fired, and he said up until October 2013, this is when they kicked him out. He was a CIA operative within the Obama administration, and he claims that he was fired by Obama himself. And he basically was, he was outed as a CIA agent, and then he was fired and forced into early retirement because they claimed that he leaked classified information. Now, I've never been able to confirm what that was, and that's probably because he was never charged or anything like that. But, you know, I mean, if they use that as an excuse and they say, you just need to go, otherwise we are going to, you know, bring charges against you. You'll into prison for the rest of your life. So, but after he came out, one of the things that he talked about was the fact that he knew that Andrew Breitbart had been murdered. So, you know, after he was forced out, he all of his loyalty to Barack Obama, it was pretty much burnt off when he was asked if he would be willing to kill American citizens. And he also said that I guess that Breitbart had filmed an interview with one of Barack Obama's deceased alleged gay lovers. So like this person was dead by the time that that Dr. Garrow had left the CIA. I've never personally seen an interview that Breitbart did with like a man that Barack Obama had previously been in a relationship with, but there is a couple of them that were rumored and then ended up dead once that started to come out. So I don't know. Well, I'll see if I can figure it out, because I'm going to be working on the Obama body count for probably the next couple of weeks. But
who was the guy that recently? Gosh, he was interviewed by somebody. The guy who like blew him in the back of a limo.
That was Larry Singer.
Maybe that sounds right.
Yeah, hold on. I actually tried to get an interview with that. No, that's not him.
Gosh, whose show was he on that he did that interview?
What, the Obama lover?
Yeah, I want to say.
Hold on.
Why can't I think of it?
Obama gay lover. He did an interview with Tucker
Sinclair. That's who it was.
That's
Tucker.
it. Larry Sinclair. So yeah, the reason I don't think that it's Larry Sinclair that Breitbart. Well, I guess Breitbart could have done an interview with him, but I find it doubtful that. Well, I mean, maybe at that time, because Sinclair had really been marginalized, and they did a lot to discredit him. And Breitbart having the sort of the level of respect that he did, I suppose that if Breitbart was about to, you know, really blow the lid off of that, maybe that would have been enough. But I mean, I guess I figured that Obama being in a video with terrorists plotting to take over the U.S. government, that was enough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I had also heard that the FBI actually investigated Andrew Breitbart's widow for murder.
What?
Hold on. I lost my notes on this one.
Obviously after he died or before?
Well, yes. Okay, so this is something that Dr. Garrow had said, but I have never found like any FBI reports or anything about that. It's entirely possible that maybe they perhaps just like covertly attempted to go after her, like if there was enough noise that had been raised about the death of Andrew Breitbart, because I mean, you know, it's my opinion that they killed the coroner's photographer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he died of arsenic poisoning, and that was, you know, totally unnatural. And if other people started to really go on and on about this, then it may be necessary to pick a patsy, right?
Yeah.
And if they could pick Andrew Breitbart's wife as a patsy, then, you know, hey, why wouldn't they do that?
I mean, it seems like a little too on the nose, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, here's the other thing is that, you know, I mean, it was like, we know that Andrew Breitbart was like drinking some wine while he was there, and he was there for a couple of hours. And they've also claimed, you know, he was, you know, addicted to Adderall, and he loved cocaine, and he was a heavy drinker. When he died, his autopsy showed that there were no prescription drugs in his system. And he also had a blood alcohol level of only 0.04, which, you know, seems to indicate that maybe he had a glass of wine that entire night that he was there. So I just don't buy the argument that he died from natural causes related to some, you know, pre-existing heart condition. I don't think so.
I mean, I understand it's totally possible he didn't die from that, but also like if there's any way to validate the fact that he went in a year prior and got diagnosed with that, like if that's legitimate, it is also totally possible that he did have a heart issue. I mean, I've heard of people younger than that who have died from the same heart issue. Even here in my hometown, a classmate of mine, their younger brother passed away a few years ago. He was like 28 and had a heart issue. This is before the vaccine and all that stuff. He was just a very big guy, very out of shape, very unhealthy, and caught up with him.
So I feel like Andrew Breitbart was actually like getting into better shape at the time that he died. You're not wrong, John. You're not wrong. But all I'm saying is that my spidey senses are tingling on this one.
And it should be because of who he is. I totally, that is justified. I'm just saying it is, my role here is the skeptic.
Yes.
Much to people's dismay. And as a skeptic, I need to be skeptical of things. And it is totally possible that it was a natural death. Unfortunate.
Yes.
But yes, I think the conspiracy aspect is why we do the show, is the fun part. So I think we should continue down that path.
Right. So, so this former CIA agent goes on record and says that he is 100% certain that Andrew Breitbart was killed by the Obama administration. As we established, the video expose that Breitbart was planning to come out did not happen in the way that it was supposed to. It was a totally different video. If he did interview Obama's gay lover, I've never seen that video, unless it's Larry Sinclair, and I just don't realize that it was Breitbart doing the interview. And shortly after he came forward and started talking about Breitbart, there was another death related to Barack Obama, and that was Tom Clancy. So Tom Clancy was allegedly,
wasn't he the video game creator? That Tom Clancy?
Well, he's an author.
It's that Tom Clancy?
That Tom Clancy. Yes.
No shit.
Yes.
Oh, I was totally joking. Thought the name was a coincidence.
No. It's definitely him. And
what the hell?
So the actual cause of death on his autopsy is unknown. And Dr. Garrow stated that Tom Clancy was definitely also killed by the Obama administration, and suggested that there was some type of a plant toxin that may have been used, or some type of poison that, within 5 days would break down and leave no traces within the human body. And the doctors who performed the autopsy on Tom Clancy waited for 5 days. Waited for 5 days.
To do the autopsy?
Yes, waited to do the autopsy for 5 days, which let any poisons or anything that he might have been doped with to completely break down in his system. Now, Tom Clancy was 66. It's publicly stated that he died of natural causes, but again, it says unknown on his death certificate. And, he wrote a lot of, big military and spy novels. He wrote The Hunt for Red October. And when he wrote The Hunt for Red October, he was actually met at the door to his home by Pentagon officials and FBI agents, because they believed that he got top secret documents. And he didn't. I mean, I don't know how he came up with it, but I mean, just his time in government and service. But after he came on the radar of the government, the CIA started sort of passing off classified information to him and scenarios to give him to feed his writing. So they would be like, we think you should write about this. Here is a little bit of information. And then he would take that and then he would turn it into an entertaining novel. And, it became pretty popular. So Garrow believes that this is why he was killed, because he was essentially, they had used him to such great effect and they gave him too much information. And as a result of his proximity and his access to people within the CIA, Dr. Garrow believes that he got too close to some ultimate secret or some information related to the inner workings of the CIA or the U.S. government, something that the Obama administration did not want people to know. And perhaps they were afraid that Tom Clancy was going to put that into his books. Or perhaps he had already started to do that. I'm not exactly certain, but the biggest piece of evidence for that, I think, is the sketchy presence of the 5-day autopsy, and then CIA agent is going to know what kind of toxins or poisons you might be able to give somebody that would eventually be undetectable. And it's also strange to me that they couldn't find any like overriding symptoms or like he didn't have any sickness. There was no reason for him to die.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Go ahead, play devil's advocate.
Because back 5 or 6 years before he died, in December of 2006, he had a heart attack, and he posted on a message board about his ordeal, or somebody posted it for him. This Tom Clancy posted it. I should probably be dead now. This is Tom Clancy saying that. I've never written anything like it before. It feels melodramatic since I never really felt all that bad. But 5 or 6 Fridays ago, I felt a little punk. He was tired, all these things. Something rather odd happened. I was sitting in the room and the TV was on, probably to a news channel, and started moving. Imagine sitting in the dead center of a movie theater and the stuff on the screen starts moving left to right at high speed, like 20 RPM or so. Very strange. Stranger still, I didn't feel dizzy from it. I sat down to digest this phenomenon, and in due course, say about 90 seconds, it stopped. How very odd, I thought. 20 minutes later, it happened again, this time for maybe 30 seconds, and that made me think something was generally wrong. Went to the hospital.
Wait. But he says a good guy. Good guy, good doc, now living in Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying like a good guy doc, like maybe somebody might have been bad.
They sent him off for various tests, which were unremarkable. So I was checked into a hospital for proper observation. Next day, tests began in earnest. You bleed into test tubes, all these things, talks about the tests. A couple of docs came in to see me, one of whom I will call Dr. B. Dr. B is an ordinary-looking chap, about 2 weeks younger than I am. I would later learn he looked smart. He told me that one of my coronary arteries was 100% blocked, and the rest of the important ones were 90% blocked. Found myself listening to the doctor carefully. Those are scary numbers. He was a smoker and a drinker, by the way, as well. So he ended up having bypass surgery.
Started taking Lipitor, he said.
Yep. But I mean, so he's 66. He's had bypass surgery already.
It's plausible.
It is not out of the realm of possibility that his heart gave out. Like, that's totally possible.
Not at all. So why not put that on the autopsy?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
incompetence.
Just
have you seen the autopsy?
No. Hold on. Let's see if we can find it. Tom Clancy autopsy.
His family chose not to release it.
Yeah,
there's
no
legal requirement forcing detailed disclosure. Yeah.
Oh God, there's another Tom Clancy who was found dead in his car, shot in the back of his head in 1983.
Okay, so now I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy, one of the Tom Clancy's on the earth, creates a robot or something that destroys the world. And so from the future, they have to send back, but they don't know which one is which. So they're just killing all the Tom Clancy's. That's probably what's happening.
I like that. I actually really like that. All right. Okay. So yeah, totally possible. He could have died of a heart attack, and that would be fine. But I just, I feel like there's definitely something to this guy coming forward and saying that both Andrew Breitbart and Tom Clancy were murdered. And I've heard other people, obviously, over the years speculate that Tom Clancy was murdered by the Obamas. Now,
can I throw one more thing at you?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sure.
Just to pour a little more skeptic on the wound.
Mm-hmm.
How many times, and be honest with yourselves, you don't have to give me an answer, but you guys in the chat too, how many times have we seen somebody come into the truth community with a background in either military or intelligence or something, and they come out saying all these things and throwing all these theories and all this stuff out there?
Yeah. And
then over the course of time, you realize that that person is a total piece of shit shill. It's a story as old as time. Like it happens all the damn time.
That was the next thing that I was going to say. The opposite of him having some level of, knowledge is that he never left the CIA. They sent him out into the world to just breed conspiracy theories and to make people believe things that didn't really happen. So
Yeah.
yes. And obviously it's all up in the air. We don't have any firm or lasting information that we can point to, but you will never convince me that Andrew Breitbart died of natural causes. All right. So
I'm trying to, but
all right. So now I couldn't find anything to verify this, but I have read it from a number of sources, and so I say it with a fair amount of skepticism. Antonin Scalia, he died, it was like 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on.
He died in,
or was it 2015? Okay, so 2016
February of 2016.
Yeah. So tail end of Obama's administration, and he obviously that would give Obama the opportunity to choose a Supreme Court justice. I'm sure that he would have chosen a super lefty. He had done it already. And Mitch McConnell basically refused to bring anybody before the Senate. Much what they're doing to President Trump right now. held it hostage. And and then President Trump was able to replace him when he came in.
So how old was he? He was born in 1936. Was he 80 years old?
I
mean, again, maybe, call me crazy, but
yeah, no, I know.
Is it possible he died of old age?
It could have been possible that he died of old age. All right. But it was a convenient death, certainly. And he and Obama were not friends. Obama did not go to his funeral either, which was certainly unusual. I mean, even President Trump, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, you remember on the tarmac, he's like, Blue Jean Baby's playing in the background. And it's like, oh my God. I didn't know that. I'm hearing that now for the very first time.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite clips of President Trump.
It's a great meme.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So there's one death. So in 2008, when Barack Obama was running for president, there was a woman and her daughter, Lois Anderson. She was 79, and her daughter, Zelda White, was 52. They were both American women who were working in Nairobi, Kenya. They were aid workers. They were somehow affiliated with the Presbyterian Church. I want to say they were like ministers or something like that. And they had been working in Africa for a very long time. And they were both shot to death.
Wait, who's this?
These are two women working in Nairobi, Kenya. This is notable because Obama was rumored to have been born in Kenya. And he actually said that he was born in Kenya in an older version of one of his books. What?
But how does that connect to Scalia on them?
It doesn't. I'm moving on to the next person.
We moved to the next one. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Okay. now I'm tracking.
Okay. All right. So this is going to be all over the place. It's not a chronological list of deaths, but we hit the end of Obama's presidency. Now we're jumping to before he was president. So they were from Pennsylvania. They were affiliated with the Presbyterian Church. They were doing relief and aid work in Kenya, and they were like super well known in Kenya because they had been there for years, and they were shot to death by an assassin. And the only way that this connects to the Obamas is because of how long they had been there. And it was rumored at the time that potentially they might have knowledge of the birth or the, rearing of Barack Obama in Kenya. And they might have been murdered to cover the trail. Somebody who could connect Barack Obama to Kenya and say that, he wasn't an American, that he was born someplace else. Now, the husband, the father, was also murdered, but he wasn't doing the same stuff that he was doing. He was just with them both when they were all murdered in cold blood. The reason it seems like it's more of an assassination than anything else is because the father had his wallet still on him. It was full of money. It wasn't a carjacking because they didn't steal the car. They just murdered him. And the people who killed him were just like Kenyan thugs. They had no connection to the Andersons or their daughter. And they were never able to make a connection to them. And they just kind of wrote it off as a homicide and a carjacking. Now, shortly after they were murdered, their church was burned down, and there was speculation at the time that perhaps there may have been birth records at that church, which would show that, again, Barack Obama was born in Kenya. And the chief of police in Nairobi, his name was Mohammed Hussein Ali, he was actually removed from office by a wealthy Kenyan supporter of Barack Obama, a man by the name of Odinga, and any witnesses who saw the murder of this family, they all ended up dead. And there was basically nothing left at the end of it. And the only, public official that was connected to the investigation, he was no longer part of the Kenyan police. And so the investigation just stalled, and nobody ever got any closure on exactly what happened to them. So just a strange series of events.
Yeah.
There was also, did you know there was another attack shortly after Benghazi? It was called Camp Bastion.
I did not know that.
Okay, so Camp Bastion was 3 days after Benghazi, and Camp Bastion was in Afghanistan, and this was, very similar to what happened in Benghazi.
That's a British camp, it looks like.
Well, and there were 2 U.S. Marines that were killed in this particular battle: Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Rabel and Sergeant Bradley Atwell, and I guess that this was hardly talked about. I didn't find out about this for a very long time. I mean, Benghazi commanded airtime on news and in stories and stuff. So they their camp was attacked. They were quietly killed. They did not broadcast the bringing them home. I mean, they got the same type of hero's welcome that anybody does when you die overseas, but they weren't talked about, and they just, for some reason, it was ignored by the mainstream media. Now, this was an attack by terrorists in Afghanistan, and shortly after it happened, it was described as the worst day in Marine aviation history since the Tet Offensive in 1968. Which is pretty crazy, but 8 irreplaceable aircraft were destroyed or completely taken out of action by Taliban warriors. Now, what's interesting is that the Taliban were dressed in U.S. military combat fatigues.
When they attacked the base?
Yes, when they attacked the base.
No way.
Yeah, and the damage to the planes represented 7% of the total USMC Harrier fleet. So, they attacked this base. A Harrier squadron commander is dead, along with another Marine. They wounded 9 personnel, and there were Marines that were nearby at Camp Freedom, who now were unable to fly. And I don't know why they responded in the way that they did, but it was pretty much described as a failure of leadership. Because very similar to Benghazi, they just, didn't send in any help. I should probably ask Nick about this because I've never thought to
Nick No.
Yeah, Nick No. Yeah. So I've never heard any, sort of I guess explanation of this. I mean, it might have just been that it was written off as another random Taliban attack. But it was speculated that perhaps Pakistan might have been behind the attack itself, and I mean, how do we know that they were Taliban? Where did they get their U.S. military fatigues? You know,
Prince Harry was on the base at the time of the attack.
Oh, wild. Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. But he was never in any danger because it was a super real military service, you know?
Now, the U.S. had done work with Pakistani special forces, and they were operating in Afghanistan on behalf of, you know, Islamabad and their proxies and allies in the region. Now, what's also interesting, I think why people might think that Obama had some dog in this fight, is that when he was asked about the deaths of the civilian and diplomatic staff and the contractors at Benghazi and, you know, this attack here just a couple of days later, he referred to it as a bump in the road, which is sort of callous, I think.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, also, I think, unusual for anybody who knew about Camp Bastion that the White House made absolutely no mention of it. The Pentagon didn't speak out about it publicly. The White House didn't speak out about it publicly. You know, and somehow you've got like a group of 15 Taliban insurgents who show up with U.S. military uniforms, assault rifles. They had RPGs. And one of the things that was said about Benghazi is that there was weapons trafficking that was going on through there. And it's possible that perhaps weapons may have made their way into the hands of other people who hated America. And then those weapons were then taken and used to kill additional Americans afterwards. There was also another attack on, well, hold on. What was the date of Benghazi? Benghazi was on September 11th. So this would have been September 14th. And there was also, I guess, a previous attack. So it would have been about 6 months. So I guess, you know, sometime in March of that year, there was an attempted suicide bombing at Camp Bastion. And it was a Afghani that had, I guess, driven his vehicle through the wire, through the defenses at the outskirts of the base. And he drove, and he was also trying to destroy the same aircraft that these supposed Taliban soldiers were able to get in and destroy. And he basically was stopped by some guards, and they were able to kill him and take him out of there.
Yeah, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta was at the base when that happened.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, that could have been obviously totally disastrous.
Would it have been, though?
What's that?
Would it have been, though?
It would have been disastrous for the administration. For humanity, it would have been no problem at all.
Okay, yeah. So he's douchebag?
He's a total douchebag.
Total douchebag. Okay.
Leon Panetta is no hero.
Never really paid attention. I just assumed, you know, being in that administration, but
yeah,
good to know.
Yeah.
In case I ever come across him, I can call him a douchebag to his face.
Yep. Okay, and then there was a Chicago activist, a guy by the name of Jeff Joe Black. And Jeff Joe Black was an activist in Chicago, so he would have been, you know, active around the same time as Barack Obama. And he was found with blunt force trauma to the head on a hiking trail. And that was it. He had spoken out publicly about Rahm Emanuel, and he claimed that Rahm Emanuel had been put into power in Chicago in order to perpetrate some type of a false flag or something like that. And then shortly after that, somebody kills him while he's on a hiking trail. And as far as
how is he connected to Obama?
He was just an activist in Chicago. He didn't know Barack Obama personally, but he was just somebody who spoke out against the Obama administration, specifically Rahm Emanuel used to be Barack Obama's chief of staff, right?
Yeah.
And so he left the administration to go become the mayor of Chicago. And
Gotcha.
and once he went to become the mayor of Chicago, Jeff Joe Black was like, this guy's bad. He's going to do some stuff here in Chicago. He specifically accused him of being put into power to perpetrate a false flag. And then after saying that, he's mysteriously murdered on a hiking trail with no witnesses. And as far as I know, there was no the murder wasn't solved. And hold on a sec, I was just able to find a old article that is no longer online. So I'm going to go ahead and try to go to the Wayback Machine and see what I can find. Okay, so go back to 2012. And one thing that's pretty interesting about trying to find information about these people is that there have been articles that have been written. There's, retrospectives or information about people. But the vast majority of it is not available on the Wayback Machine or on the surface web.
They've been scrubbed from there too.
It's been scrubbed from both places. Yeah.
Wow.
And you'll see that there would going back over a period of 15 years, articles have been saved in the Wayback Machine, but then you'll go in there and it's totally broken. All right. So here it is. October 30th, 2012. Allegheny County Police are asking anyone with information about a man who died on the Montour Trail last week to call them. Jeffrey Black, 43, of Coropolis, was found dead on the trail shortly after 10 a.m. on Friday. Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office found that he died of blunt force trauma to the head and trunk, but he has not yet ruled on the manner of death. So it sounds like he got beaten up pretty badly. Lieutenant Andrew Sherman wrote in a news release that Mr. Black either fell or jumped to his death below the overpass. Mr. Black was a slender white man with a thin build. He was wearing black Steelers t-shirt on top of a purple button-down shirt and black jeans.
Well, he probably got killed because he's a Steelers fan.
Could be it. They say that he died between 9:20 and 9:54 a.m. So they found him almost as soon as he jumped off, if that time of death lines up. And they're asking for anybody to step forward. So I haven't been able to find anything about additional about his death. Only that, that happened. All right. Now, I mentioned a couple of gay men who were connected to Barack Obama. Those men were Larry Bland and Nate Spencer. We did talk about them. We did an entire episode on, I believe, Obama's gay lovers. But so Donald Young.
This is a different kind of body count.
Yeah, this is totally different kind of body count. Just for a refresher, Donald Young, he was the 47-year-old choir master at Obama's church, Reverend Jeremiah Wright's Trinity United Church of Christ. Allegedly, Obama
will warm up those pipes.
Oh, God. Obama allegedly attended Trinity for 20 years. That was always the narrative. I wouldn't be surprised if Obama didn't actually go to that church, and perhaps, he just, was officially a member there, and maybe Jeremiah Wright was just willing to play along. I don't know. I can't verify that. Obama just doesn't seem like the church going type to me. But
why is that? Because he's black?
No, because I think he's a godless heathen.
All right.
I think that Barack Obama, if he has a soul, he sold it long ago.
That's fair. Just had to clarify.
So Donald Young was one of three. Larry Bland and Nate Spencer were the other two. Larry Bland and Nate Spencer both were murdered execution style. They were both shot in the back of the head. And I'm pretty sure that Donald Young was as well. I think that they pinned that one as a robbery gone wrong or something like that. But the really interesting part, besides the fact that you have at least two guaranteed assassinations because they're both murdered as they're kneeling on the floor, all of those deaths, all three of those deaths occurred.
A gay joke there, but continue.
Oh man, all three of their deaths happened within 40 days of each other, and their deaths started in November of 2007. All three of them were also open homosexuals, and now it's. So all three of them attended the same church with Obama, allegedly for, at least several years. Obama says that he went there for 20 years. Now, Larry Sinclair, okay, he was just a drug dealing prostitute or a crack smoking gay prostitute at the time. And he's the one who said that, he took a limo ride with Obama. It was for sex, and then Obama was like, "Can you get me some crack cocaine?" And then they got some crack cocaine, and then Larry serviced him, and Larry had personal knowledge of Obama, at least knowing the two, Larry Bland and Nate Spencer, and there was a series of encounters that Larry had with Barack Obama. He also claimed that Donald Young, the choir director, had contacted Larry just shortly before he was murdered. Now, the only difference in his murder is that he was shot more than once. He was shot multiple times in December of 2007. So
Zach,
when this, what?
Just a question.
Yeah.
We're going over the Obama body count right now, right?
Yes.
Why would they not have killed Sinclair?
Well, because he didn't come forward initially. I think that likely with these three men, Larry Sinclair was a random, right? John, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I tend to think that
you're wrong.
That
but
promiscuous gay men are probably going out and they're picking up random dudes on the regular. Okay.
Well, how would I know if that's what they do?
I'm just saying, this is how I perceive the lifestyle. Okay. If you are a state senator and you're like, hey, limo driver, like take me down to whatever the street is where I can pick up a gay hooker and get some crack cocaine. If you're doing that
conversation.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of people, that's a deal breaker. But I mean, obviously, Obama was cool with this. So I tend to believe that Obama probably did that regularly. Like Larry Sinclair wasn't unusual. And what sets the three men at Obama's church apart is that he was having regular sexual encounters with all of them. And when Barack Obama became a viable presidential candidate, or it was decided that they were going to push Barack Obama onto the national scene, those three in particular, due to their proximity to Obama, became liabilities. Sure. And who knows? I mean, maybe one or more of them thought they were in love with Obama. Maybe they thought that, oh my gosh, you're going to be president. You're going to take me to the White House. I don't know. I mean,
is that what they sound like? Oh, man,
yeah. So I don't know. I think that there was probably danger. I mean, you just don't kill people without having a reason, right? And I think that those three probably posed a danger to Barack Obama's ascension, which is why I think they were killed. Okay,
I think it's possible.
That makes the most sense to me. Now, when they were killed, of course, the story wasn't that, they knew Barack Obama. I mean, basically, nobody knew who the hell Barack Obama was at this point outside of Chicago. But it was billed as a hate crime. Gay African-American activists were being targeted in Chicago. And that maybe there was a serial killer that was on the loose. And Larry Sinclair has, he lived in the Chicago area at that time. He actually, during the investigation of these three men, he went into the Chicago Police Department, and he signed an affidavit and said that specifically Donald Young had spoken to him, and he was told by Donald Young that he and Barack Obama were intimate on the regular. And
Wait, Sinclair said the other guy said he was intimate with Obama regularly, or Sinclair?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is that during the course of the police investigation into the murder of Donald Young, Larry Sinclair came forward and went to the Chicago police and said, I have knowledge about potentially why Donald Young may have been murdered, that, he was intimate with Barack Hussein Obama, who is now candidate for president of the United States. And according to Larry's now, okay, so, and this may have something to do, I'm sure it does, has a large factor in why Larry Sinclair came forward, because it was January of 2008. So within a month of these 3 murders taking place, that's when he did his press conference, his live press conference.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And he, went on the record and said that on 2 separate occasions in November of 1999, he had sexual relations of one form or another with Barack Obama, and that Obama smoked crack cocaine while he was doing his thing on him. And it happened in the limousine and then also at a hotel in Gurnee, Illinois. Now, you asked why Donald Young. Sinclair was also asked why Donald Young. Why would Donald Young, who he had never met, initiate contact with Larry Sinclair?
How did he know?
What's that?
How did he know that this was after the press conference?
No. This is before. He didn't do the press conference until after Donald Young had been killed.
Yeah, so that is weird. How did is it?
Well,
this might be that gaydar they're talking about.
No. I think, well, I mean, unless you're counting Obama as the gaydar, because when Donald Young called Larry Sinclair, he called him from a number of cell phone numbers that were affiliated with the Obama campaign. Very damning. Very, very damning. I think that initially Donald Young was probably doing recon to reach out to Larry Sinclair and see if maybe he was going to be a problem for Barack Obama, if maybe he needed to, get a couple of double taps to the back of the head as well. So, no, that was a gun reference, but
joke, Zach.
Double shots, I think you'd say. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That went right over my head. But there was a private investigator who was connected somehow to the Chicago Police Department. He said that Donald Young was silenced because he specifically knew something about Obama. And obviously, if Donald Young and Barack Obama had been members of the same church for 20 years and were having regular sexual relations, and then he also knew about these 2 younger men that Barack Obama was having sexual relations with, and Barack Obama entrusted Donald Young to try to run down leads for him, he could have just gotten to the end of his usefulness for the Obama campaign. Yeah.
Fucked up.
Now, there are others who were connected to Barack Obama. A man who was named Lawrence Lessig. Lawrence Lessig is an openly gay professor at Stanford Law. He was actually listed on the Obama campaign's the 2008 Obama campaign as being part of Obama's technology initiative. I don't know what that means that he did, but maybe Obama had relations with his professor or something like that.
Ran his Grindr account, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know that they had Grindr back then, but yeah, I don't know when that came out.
Interesting. So was that 4 gay men?
Well, I mean, 4 gay men that I can place in this time here. No, 5 gay men if you count the professor.
6 if you count Michelle.
Yeah, that's right. 6 if you count Michelle. Yeah. So anyways, Larry Sinclair also had speculated that the murder of Young was done to essentially perhaps draw cover for the murders of these other 2 gay black men. Maybe they thought,
how would that be cover?
Well, I mean, you've got 2 at the same church that, and they're both essentially assassinated. You throw in a 3rd gay black man, and then you can call it a serial killer. And then, people are
draws
worried.
More attention to it.
Well, maybe, but I mean, I feel like the 2 murders on their own were definitely suspicious. But then you've got a third, and then somebody come forward and says, oh my God, they're hunting gay black men in Chicago. We need to look out for each other. And then you don't have to kill anybody else. You just put a healthy dose of fear into the community. Yeah. All right. So, and then there was, this one's really interesting. Oh, actually, you know what? I've got a clip of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He said that he spoke with Andrew Breitbart just shortly before his death. It's like 6 minutes. I haven't actually listened to it yet, but Sheriff Joe Arpaio is somebody else who was directly targeted by the Obama administration. So I thought that this might be an interesting thing.
Maybe.
What's that?
Maybe a good place for an outro.
Let's do this, and then I've got a video to open with next week. There was a Barack Obama impersonator who offended Barack Obama with his impersonation, and then very shortly after that, he was dead under mysterious circumstances.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, how about this? Let's get a quick word from our final sponsor, which is us.
Yep.
And Gart, and then we'll do boosts and rants. There's just a couple of them, and then we'll play that video. So get your Gart tickets, everybody.
Patriots, the fight for truth doesn't stop at the screen. It's hitting the road again. Badlands Media is rolling into Nashville on April 9th through 12th for the next stop on the Great American Restoration Tour. Join your favorite Badlands hosts and like-minded Americans for 3 powerful days. Packed with unfiltered discussions, deep dive panels, and real debate. Hear the raw truth, ask the tough questions. No topic too hot, no question too bold. GART is where our community comes alive. Tickets are on sale now at badlandsmedia.tv/GART, where you can also grab a virtual pass and watch from home. Join us to question narratives and fight for America's future. Nashville is calling. The restoration continues. Get your passes today. See you in Music City.
Hell yeah, guys. Get your tickets, whether that's in person or virtual. Single day tickets will be going on sale this week, so stay tuned. If you're going to be in the area but can't make it for the full weekend, it is well worth popping by for one of the days. The panels are awesome. The conversation is awesome. The people are awesome. Really can't go wrong. So coming out with us, and nothing is really off limits. We stand by that. We love the friction. We love the debate. Very much looking forward to being down in Nashville. So let me check the boosts real quick.
Okay.
By the way, badlandsmedia.tv/boost. It's a way to support Badlands like a rant, except we keep more of it. We only hold the processing fee. The rest all goes to the creators, and we'll read it on air, just like a Rumble rant, except you don't have to be watching live to leave it. And 1027JS, my fellow North Dakotan Joe, she says, hello for $20. Thank you so much for that, Joe. Appreciate you. And then we got Peyton, G Fontes 119 says in 1999, I heard Glenn Beck in Tampa Bay market, Florida, when he first started his talk radio career in the same time slot he has ever since, 9 to noon, rose quickly to national fame post 9/11. Did not know that. Interesting. Ace G13 tipped via Rumble Wallet. Thank you so much for that. Then we have G Fontes 119. Wasn't Tom Clancy the author of the books that Harrison Ford, Alec Baldwin, and Ben Affleck played character Jack Ryan in 4 movies?
Yes, absolutely. And then John Krasinski in the Jack Ryan series on Amazon.
Yeah. And then Peyton Poos, let me get this straight because I am. 3 homosexuals died getting shot in the back of the head. I think the hell did it wrong. Oh, God. I have one video I want to play before we do your video, but I have to take us off of YouTube to do it.
Okay.
So, because I don't want to get dinged. But this is a video. So, by YouTube, thank you. Hit the thumbs up. Let me check if there's any, no rants or anything over there. But I'm going to take us off of there. And then this is, it's from a